Now what? Now what? Now what? Hey, I'm Bradley Charbonneau. It's the 17th, and this is my monthly newsletter, and I've got a biggie today. You ready? Now what? It's my next book, and it's not just me. It's me and possibly you. More on that in a bit. You ever been in that point in your life, whether you're 20, 40, or 60, and you've done this, and you're thinking about doing that, and you say, you're at this moment, you're at this like precipice, you're at this turning point, and you say, now what? And you don't have to be 60, you don't have to be 40, you don't have to be 20. It happens to us throughout the years. And there are these certain points in time when this happens. And when you think, you have that question to yourself. And then, ideally, you answer it and you do it. Now what? I'm inviting you to apply to be a part of my upcoming anthology called, surprise, surprise, Now What? Here's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for 3 groups of people from 3 different age groups. I want 27 total. There's going to be 9 in each age group. First age group is 0 to 30. Second is 31 to 60. And then 61 to 90. And here's the story I'm looking for. More details in a minute. And you can go to nowwhat.repossible.com to see more. But here it is in a nutshell. Here's my invitation. So for me, Now What is partly anthology. It's partly, I've written 34 books. I know how to do it. I've been there, I've done that. I love it. I'm going to keep doing it. I will do it as long as I live. And yet, I love helping other people share their stories. And what I don't want is for you to get stuck in the idea of a book and you never are going to share your message. So here's an opportunity to share your message, your now what story. And yet, as a friend of mine likes to say, don't share from the wound, share from the scar. What does that mean? That means I don't want the stories that are now what and you don't yet know what to do, right? That's an important point. But I want from the scar. You've had the wound, right? You had the now what moment and you suffered through it or you broke through it or whatever happened to get you through it to that next step. So that you then started with the now what, and you did the what, right? And you did it now. So I want the stories from the scar. And it doesn't need to, scar sounds bad, negative. Doesn't need to be bad or negative, right? And in fact, I would prefer, on that note, to have uplifting stories. Uplifting stories from you on what you did to get over that now, to get through that now what moment. You're at the now what moment, and at that point you don't know what to do. And the next moment, or the next element of this, is you figured out what you had to do, and you did it. So the audience for this is those of us who are at the now what moment and don't yet have the answer. And so we have an answer. And it's your answer. And the answer to the question of, now what? If you're not feeling the depth of this question, then you might not be at one of those points. If you're hearing me say this and you think, I know exactly what he's talking about because that's exactly where I am. Because you say it, did you hear it at the very beginning? I had different intonations with how I said the word, right? Because if you just say, okay, now what? Right, and in fact, here's where the story started. The story started, I'm going to turn around, I'm at the end of the street. The story started with I think he was 12, although I usually just give the number 12 to my kids when I don't know how old they were when something happened. But I think he was 12, and we're in Germany with one of my dearest and longest time friends. And in the typical 12-year-old boy sense, we just did something really fun. I don't know, we mountain biked through the mountains, and then we finished that, and he says, now what? Right? Typical, what are we doing now? We just did that neat thing. We're about to do this other neat thing, probably. But now what? He needs to know, what are we doing now? And that is a very simplified 12-year-old boy version of it. And that would be a very short chapter. But I want your version of now what. So back to the wound and the scar. If you're currently suffering from the now what, hey, you'll probably want to get the book. if you have healed the wound and you have a scar from how you got over your now what question, how you got through it, that's the story I want to hear. So go to nowwhat.repossible.com and I'm looking for 27 people. I guess I'm going to be one of them. So maybe 26. And 3 groups, remember? 3 groups of 9. My whole world lately, by the way, is 1, 3, 9, 27. So we got 3 phases, 0 to 30, 31 to 60, 61 to 90 plus. All right. So if you're in one of those categories, I assume you are, then I'd like to hear what you have to say. You'll see on that page, which I am going to literally go create right now. By the way, speaking of, I chose this market this morning because it's lively and bustling and it's just getting started. That's how I feel at the moment with Now What. I've had a lot of changes in my life in the past few years, and I'm ready for the next thing. I'm ready for the next Now What. And part of my Now What is this book, and inviting you to be a part of it, and putting together an anthology of different people's stories and putting it together in book format. Oh, I almost forgot the most important thing. I'll put this, of course, in the page. But here's potentially a deal killer for you. Or if you're into it, it's a total deal maker. Ready for this? If you know my work, you know that I love my audiobooks. Here's the kicker, and you feel free to say, I'm not doing that. Because remember, I have a book called You Don't Have To. So guess what? You don't have to be a part of this. Speaking of which, like money, details, contracts, rights, I'll get to all that stuff later. Right now, I'm talking from the heart. This is not the mind, this is not the intellect, this is not the analytical, this is the heart and the gut. Does this resonate with you? Do you want to be a part of this? Do you want to be part of a probable best-selling book called Now What? I can also foresee this as this is just version 1, and I've got more versions down the road because it's going to be that successful. So if you'd like to be a part of it, apply. Okay, ready for the kicker? And you're going to love or hate this, but I'm not kidding. This is a requirement. For one, we're going to have an interview, you and me, if you choose to accept this mission and you apply and you get through the application process. We'll have an interview on my YouTube channel, on my podcast, talking about your story. And then you will be writing, for now, I'm just putting out a number, under 500 words. I don't know exactly how long that is or pages or whatnot. Under 500, I kind of think 27, 500, 13,000, so like that. 13, 15,000 word book, right? That's, you know me, if you know my work, I want short, I want poppy, I want done, right? 500 words. I also want you to get it done. So, ready for the kicker? I know, sorry, I keep holding you off on the kicker. The kicker is, I want you to record the audiobook version of your chapter. How does that sit with you, right? I'm doing it right now. I've been talking for 8 minutes. It's probably something like that. I don't actually know what 500 words are as far as minutes, but we'll figure that out. But it's not too long, right? So I want this audiobook to exist, and I want your voice sharing your message. Now, if this scares you or challenges you or freaks you out, good, fun, ready? This is gonna be awesome. Remember, there's no growth without change. There's no change without growth. I just made that up. I like that. It's good. No growth without change, no change without growth. I like it. I'm sticking with it. So that's my challenging part. Because if you're a writer or you like writing, or I don't even care if you like writing or not, but you've got a story to tell, I want to hear it from your heart. I want to hear it, your audio version. I want you to speak your story. So we're going to write it out, 500 words or less. Not messing around. No, it's only 7,000. Nope. 500 words or less. Your story of quote unquote success. It doesn't mean you made $1 billion or you flew to the moon. It doesn't matter. In fact, I prefer it to be smaller because I want it to be relatable for people. I want people to think, I'm at that point, she or he got through it and did it. I want to do it. I'm almost at 10 minutes. See, I'm keeping to my limits. 500 words or less, record the audio. Now what? Now we get started. See you there. Bye for now.